Similarly to the last video, in this one, we'll be taking a look at some players that are having slower starts to the season. Except here, there's a little twist, in that these players are in their debut season with their current teams. I tend to do one of these every year where I simply take a look at players who have the potential to be better for their new teams. In this video, we'll be going over a select number of players that haven't worked out so far. Before we move on with the video, I want to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor. The Victory Hockey League is an online forum-based hockey league where you can create your very own player. Pick your player's position, their height, their weight, where they come from, all of it. From there, you and your player have entered into a diverse, creative community where you can earn weekly experience points by writing articles about the league or your player, create graphics, make videos, and even do podcasts. If you don't think you have the time for that, you can also earn weekly points at a click of a button. All of it goes toward making your player the greatest they can be. Your player will find themselves in the minors working through the European League and eventually making their rookie debut in the Victory Hockey League. During each step, you manage your player, negotiating contracts, requesting trades, or even testing free agency. The destiny of your player is at your fingertips. After daily simulations, you'll be able to look at the statistics of each game, see where your player is weak and strong, and use those experience points to grow your player's ability. Who knows, maybe your player will be good enough to make it into the Hall of Fame. No matter what, even if you aren't the biggest hockey fan, the Victory Hockey League is a great community to join. With an active website and a Discord server, you'll become a part of something that is engaging, fun, and worth your while. Check out VHL on Instagram, Twitter, and sign up today at vhlforum.com. And with that, here are 5 NHL players that haven't worked out for their new teams. When Jack Campbell signed with Edmonton, the hope was that Soup, as he's known, would finally give the Oils some stability in nets. However, after 7 games played on the season, it hasn't looked like the netminder brought his game with him from Toronto. With a .881 save percentage and a 3.91 goals against average, Campbell hasn't exactly had the best start. Out of the 7 games he's participated in 4 of those, Campbell surrendered 4 or more goals. In the contest against Calgary, the goaltender had to be pulled after letting in 4 goals in the first 11 minutes of play. Obviously, this is a small sample size, but still, this has to be far from what Edmonton fans expected. Regardless, Campbell, who's signed up to 2027, will be an interesting story to follow for the rest of the season. After having a productive stint with the New York Rangers, with over a point per game, Andrew Copp found a home in Detroit. With a newly signed 5-year, $28 million contract in effect, Copp was inserted into the top 6 at the start of the season. Coming off of core surgery, however, the forward's return to game action was stalled until after training camp commenced. Therefore, unlike his teammates, Copp wasn't able to sharpen his skills and to get valuable practice prior to opening nights. So far, with an average of over 17 minutes of playing time, Copp has only mustered up 5 points in 10 games played. Despite this though, Copp was able to notch his first goal here recently against Washington, which has to be a relief. Even still, due to the slower start, one has to admit that so far, Copp's tenure with the Wings hasn't gone as planned. The biggest blockbuster that the offseason had to offer was the Jonathan Huberdeau and Matthew Tkachuk trade. Of course, there were other pieces involved like Mackenzie Weegar, but it was a swapping of one 100-point-plus player for another. Therefore, as we take a look at Huberdeau's performance thus far, we're also going to compare it to Tkachuk's in the process. After agreeing to an 8-year, $84 million deal that starts next season, the idea was that Huberdeau would pick up where Tkachuk left off. Unfortunately, so far anyways, the forward has been far from doing so. Following 9 games played, Huberdeau has a single goal and 5 points to show for it. Last season, in comparison, he had 11 points already within his first 9 games played. As for Tkachuk, he's been averaging over a point per game, with 14 after 11 games played. Even though Huberdeau and the team may try to downplay the discrepancy, head coach Daryl Sutter hasn't let his star player off the hook. Following Calgary's loss to Seattle, Sutter called him out by saying, quote, "I think Jonathan has to speed his game up, that's for sure. End quote. Again, it's still early, but so far, if we're comparing both sides of the trade, Florida is definitely on top currently. At this point in time, it's pretty clear that Shane Wright has had a rough ride in the NHL thus far. For starters, as most of us know, Wright wasn't selected by Montreal, as he expected. Instead, in disappointing fashion, the forward dropped all the way to 4th place and went to Seattle. Not only did Wright get slighted in that regard, but also after the NHL season began, as head coach David Hackstall has made many skeptical by firstly deciding to scratch the rookie on multiple occasions. Secondly, when he has given Wright playing time, he's given him on average around 7 minutes per game. And while this may have made more sense, say in the Alexis Lafreniere's case, for example, since the Rangers are a loaded team, the same can't be said about the Seattle Kraken. Now, here recently we did see an improvement after Jared McCann missed Thursday's game against Minnesota. This allowed for Wright to play a season high of over 13 minutes. However, at this point in time, Wright is still sporting a lone assist on the season. Even though the situation has been far from his fault, it's pretty fair to say that things haven't went like spectators and fans expected them to. Once Kyle Dubas made the decision to bring in a familiar face from the Greyhounds to Toronto, many instantly became skeptical. Reason being, besides Matt Murray's decline in play, the goaltender had been battling injuries and illness left to right while in Ottawa. Therefore, even though Murray was looked at as having potential when healthy, the addition sent shockwaves through the hockey world. However, to help calm some nerves, the Leafs did their due diligence prior to making the Murray deal official by having him undergo a physical examination by team doctors. Despite this though, after appearing in one regular season contest for Toronto, Murray was placed on the IR due to an abductor injury sustained while practicing with the team. For Maple Leaf fans, what may seem sentimental for Dubas probably appears like a Peter Mrazek repeat scenario, as he was also frequently injured during his stint with the team. For now though, Murray is providing cap space while on the LTIR. Even still, this leaves a net to Ilya Samsonov and Eric Kallagren until Murray returns. The goaltender currently sports a .826 save percentage and a 4.05 goals against average on the season so far. His expected return date was about 4 weeks post-injury, which would be around November 17th. However, the most recent report on Murray from Sheldon Keefe himself seemed a little grim, as Keefe admitted that Murray was a ways away from getting into game action.